Welcome to this webinar/workshop, which is hosted by ENTRACK and ENERGATE, two EU-funded projects working within the area of energy efficiency and finance. Today, we will be summarizing and discussing the insights that we have been gathering in terms of the building owner perspective and the financial investments needed for increasing energy efficiency investments in the European building stock. So how we'll be doing this, it is the first representatives from ENTRACK and ENERGATE respectively will be covering some of the needs and interests and barriers detected from the engagement with building owners during the project. Then we'll be covering the financial aspects and then presenting some of the solutions that ENTRACK and ENERGATE are developing respectively, followed by a discussion. So we have a Q&A function. At the top row, you'll be seeing two bubbles with Q&A. So please don't hesitate to leave any questions or comments there as we go along, and then we will address this after the presentations. We will keep it super short and brief so there's room for questions and discussions. So with those words, I will first give the word to Stanislav. Maybe you'd like to present yourself very briefly, and then you will be addressing some of the needs for the building owners as we have met them in ENTRACK.
Yes, thank you, Sid. So my name is Stanislav. I'm working for EnEffect. EnEffect is a Bulgarian NGO working closely with Bulgarian municipalities and supporting them in the more sustainable use of energy. So I will just briefly show you what we found out during the ENTRACK lifetime, what was the main feedback from the municipalities, and how we can tackle the issues with ENTRACK. I hope you see my screen now and my presentation.
Yep.
So in general, if we ask them what do you need to improve your buildings, there's one simple answer. They say, we need money. And if we ask them what are the main challenges, they said how to attract money for our energy efficiency projects. Well, this is the reality in our case. But we found out that money are everywhere. This is not even a full list of the potential sources that the building owners can use to implement energy efficiency measures in their buildings. I'm not going through them, but we all know probably all these schemes and instruments, etc., etc. So how we can exploit all these sources, how we can attract money from these sources? The solution is actually to understand what are our needs, what we want to achieve, how we want to spend this money, and this we can do through adequate energy planning and management of our properties. So this is just briefly the process. It's everywhere in every methodology, guidelines, standards, etc. How we should plan and manage energy. We should determine the baseline, identify project, attract financing for this project. Then after implementing the project, verify the results, analyze what we have done, and start the cycle again. And all these 4 steps can be supported by ENTRACK by first getting all the needed information in one place. This is on the right, you can see just an example. A Bulgarian municipality wants to apply for funding at the end of this month, and they need energy audit. For the energy audit, they should provide the energy consumption to the energy auditor. They provided us 1,500 scanned PDF pages. It took us a week just to extract the energy data and start the work. With ENTRACK, this is possible just with a simple click. Next, after we have the information and we start to identify measures, projects, etc., etc., again, ENTRACK can support us. In the platform, we implemented input information for over 16,000 energy efficiency measures with the expected and the achieved savings, with the needed investment, etc., etc., etc. This is supporting them in taking decisions and supporting them to communicate these projects with the financial institutions. Verifying the savings, the next steps. This is also something ENTRACK can provide as a functionality. You just need to input your energy consumption data and just click when your energy efficiency measure was implemented. Then ENTRACK can follow and calculate are there savings and what is the level of the savings. And the last thing, continue to improve the energy management practices by ENTRACK with day-to-day observation of the situation of your buildings, of the consumption. All this can be collected in one place, and actually what brings ENTRACK to our stakeholders, they can optimize energy consumption, take data-driven decisions on their investments for energy efficiency, and create trust in the financial institutions. And we believe this will support them in attracting the so needed funding for their improvement of the building stock. So this is very briefly what was our perspective in the last almost 3 years already. And thank you for the attention. And now I guess I should stop sharing my screen. Was I
Thank you.
on time?
Thank you. You're almost on time. So I think we'll move right on to José Pedro from representing the building owner perspective from ENERGATE.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. In my case, I don't have a very nice presentation Stanislav have, but I'm going to share with you some of the barriers and actually figures that we are facing these days from a building perspective, building owner perspective. So in our case, we are Commuty, an asset management company. I'm actually one of the co-founders and CEO. We've been managing funds for more than 200 million assets under management, mostly residential funds since 2016. Nowadays and since then, we've been very much focused on energy transformation and retrofitting, asset retrofitting. We managed to do some residential to co-living, office to co-living, and managed residential transformations. So we're very much into also everything that is related to carbon neutrality and how to maximize the energy efficiency of buildings. That said, still at least in the southern, including also maybe France, real estate sector, we haven't seen that many of asset transformation in the last 2 years. There's going to be, the list is quite simple, or the list of reasons is quite simple. First of all, there is a misalignment between building prices and cost of equity and cost of debt. As you probably all know, since the interest rate increase last year, cost of equity has significantly also increased. However, in locations such as Madrid, we haven't seen any reduction in terms of the building prices, making that if your expected returns hasn't decreased either, the cost of construction has increased significantly for more than almost 30% in the case of Spain in 3 years' time. What we are facing is an impossibility of acquiring assets to be reconverted or transformed, or which energy has been improved. What we see also from a building owner perspective or asset manager's perspective is that banks and financing institutions are not that much pushing for asset transformation. So we've seen some banks and finance institutions reducing their interest rates. To give you a specific number, in the case of Spain, we've seen the reduction of 10 basic points in the interest rate. And interest rates are above 5% in the last 3-4 months. Meaning that if we take a specific example, and maybe we take a building, the capex cost is going to represent roughly 30% of the all investment cost. Out of these 30%, we take a 5% interest rate for the debt cost. So meaning that overall the interest cost for the all investment cost of the asset will be around 3.5%. What it means is that even though banks are financing 100% of the capex, even though you may get a reduction on the interest rate on 10 basic points, that reduction of the interest rate has a significantly or almost insignificantly impact on the way we can do asset transformation. So, and this is to finish my explanation from the beginning. Even though there is a demand for for building transformation, even though in the case of Paris suburbs, we've been seeing office to residential conversion, even though there is a significant demand for highly efficient, affordable housing units all across Europe, the reality is that we haven't seen that many movement from the capital market perspective or the financing perspective, because of the high cost of capital, the high cost of interest, including also the high cost of buildings and the high construction cost. Meaning that if we, what we need is a platform such as the one we're both developing, ENERGATE, ENTRACK, platforms that allows us to create a matchmaking process that put us in contact with companies that are willing to finance from an equity and debt perspective asset transformation at a lower cost, enhancing these asset transformation and asset retrofitting projects to match the demand that we've seen from in the case of residential, from a residential perspective. But if we take the case of offices, from the case of corporates that are looking for high energy efficient, low carbon office buildings that they can rent or they can acquire. And I will be more than happy to discuss, and also I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. But this is basically how we are facing these days the problematic of how to transform assets in the case of Spain, but also in the case of France and other Southern European countries.
Thank you. So we have covered now the building owner perspective. Again, please feel free to add questions in the Q&A section. But in the meantime, we're moving over to financial institutions. So Eddie, maybe you'd like to start. Please briefly introduce yourself, and then the floor is yours.
All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Eddie Strang. I work for Joule Assets. We work with facilitating financing for energy efficiency projects in Europe. And I'll take you through a presentation very quickly. So over the past 3 years, we've involved directly over 35 financial institutions through the ENTRACK project. And I've tried to just highlight in terms of data and data management and in data on energy efficiency projects, what they are looking for. And I've tried to just highlight that here briefly. So CO2 tracking, definitely to be able to easily track your projects and how much emissions saving they produce. Basically impact measurement, analyzing various trends in the market, and also just the quality of the data, as one of the biggest complaints is that, sure, there's a lot of data available, but the reliability of said data is not really there. So being able to provide that is also of high value to this stakeholder group. Another one that we got frequently when it comes to different platforms and data management, etc., is just the simplicity behind it. Because there are various platforms available, but the usual complaint is that they're overly complicated. It takes a lot of getting into to actually make some good use out of those platforms. So a simple standardized solution is something that has been frequently requested. And I think from not only this stakeholder group, but from others as well, standardization seems to be a key thing. Specifically in processes and various tools available to the stakeholders. There is no clear pathway in terms of how to analyze data, how to process projects for financing. And it seems like standardization is really on everybody's lips right now, in my perspective. And how we're trying to deal with this, for example, in ENTRACK, is to provide a platform with standardized data. So here we have a quick overview of the services for the different key stakeholders. For building owners, essentially to manage your building portfolio, its performance, and acquire financing. For financial institutions, essentially risk assessment and analyzing different investment opportunities in areas, but also for policymakers, just to have I think it would be very valuable to have a data platform where you can see, okay, how is our municipality or country even doing in certain areas? How are certain grants performing for certain measures? And then for the building owner, for example, my colleague Stanislav mentioned, what do they want? They want money. There's plenty of money available out there, and pairing ENTRACK with Joule Asset's own Equal platform, which is essentially for facilitating financing for smaller scale energy efficiency projects. You can take the data and all the information that ENTRACK provides, and we've integrated this with the Equal platform in order to process those building portfolios for financing, so that Stanislav can get that money that he's looking for. And basically the use cases are here. If we look at the building owners, operators, they upload their buildings data in ENTRACK, they analyze the performance and determine savings potential, benchmark with other buildings, look at maybe areas that they've missed. They can then transfer these buildings to Equad to finalize and bundle, and then hopefully be introduced to an investor to finance those projects. For financial institutions, just as simple as they can, look at those building portfolios and benchmark to others, see if it's worth their time, worth their money. And all of this just essentially solves that problem of standardization. And I think what a lot of people are trying to do with these platforms are providing these standardized processes and tools in order to facilitate these projects that would otherwise, in a lot of cases, unfortunately, be dead in the water, because the due diligence processes, for example, just eat up the costs of the projects before we even reach that point. So yeah, that's very quickly on my end. Happy to discuss further.
Thanks a lot, Eddie. So now moving over to you, Chapa from ENERGATE. I will share your slides. Just give me 1 moment to find the right screen.
I'm sorry for needing so much assistance, but technology.
Yeah, I feel like for some reason I can't see the screen, although I have it open right here. I can't find the right window. That's really annoying. Maybe in the meantime, while I mess around with this, you could introduce yourself.
I will do exactly that. So hi, I'm Chiki. I'm the chairman of EnerSave Capital. We actually have got 4 or 5 business lines, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm by the deep formation an investment banker, so we do clearly corporate finance services. Eddie mentioned standardization, where we have been very successful in an earlier EU project to develop standardized legal agreements for as a service, because we found that off-balance sheet is essential. And going forward, we are hearing that the marketplace needs even more as a service, as across the world, real estate values are under pressure. Then we do securitization of cash flows. Alex, whom you've seen in her role as technical genius, heads up actually the firm and heads up our ESG advisory services and our EU funding. And then we've got a small activity in carbon solutions, which we see as part of financing. We are actually part of currently of 3 projects. We were earlier in launch with Joule Asset, in Propel with Joule Asset, which was brilliantly managed by them. And then we are in V2 markets, which we find is a very, very important V2G for the building sector and for storing of energy. We are clearly part of ENERGATE, which we find is a very, very worthwhile project, and smart finance for EU, which is trying to reduce interest rates. Now, and unfortunately, you can't see this slide.
Should I change slide? Should I change slide?
It's the 4th slide. If you can share it with the cube.
Well, I'm now on slide 4.
So anyhow, when we talk about finance, for many people, this is sort of a big pot or sack of money. In truth, these are all small little silos with particular rules. And if the proposition which one brings to investors doesn't suit the silo, well, then it ain't gonna get financed. It's as simple as that. It's not because your project is not good, but it's because it just doesn't fit into the silo. So in the big lines, you've got specialist funds which have been set up by various asset managers. They pursue a buy and hold strategy. There's about 5 to 7 billion parked there. They are looking for roughly 25 million in pipeline, which you can then draw down. Then you've got clearly banks, which have got specialized departments. But banks think in collateral, and unfortunately, the energy transition is not rich in collateral. So even the lines, and one of our colleagues with whom we worked in Brussels, a major European name, is only having 100 million to spend. Then you would have the big pension funds who would be interested in the asset class, but they need large. And here they don't need project finance, but they actually need securities. They need bonds, which you can trade, which have got a rating, which are liquid, which you can take onto the stock exchange. Same thing is true for insurance companies. Those boys could even go into private equity, but they need to put a lot of capital behind their private equity investment, which makes it unattractive. There is one group or one silo which is completely underexplored in Europe, which is actually Sharia compliant finance, coming from the Middle East, where interest is forbidden, but they would share with the partners the revenues of an ESCO contract. Then you've got the EU funding entities. They unfortunately are looking for a minimum of 50 million investments, and they can't do it on their own, so they are looking for 150 million in total. A sector which could do smaller projects is crowdfunding, and under the latest EU directives, they can go up to 5 million. So that could be a place where one could find money. But one caveat, a Bulgarian building is not going to be financed by a Portuguese crowdfunding provider. Now, in order to make all of this a little bit more complicated, the silos have got certain specifications. Certain investors like lighting, others like heating, the next ones like cooling, God knows what, they like PV. So once somebody gets comfortable with an asset, he's going to try to invest into that. Then you've got asset allocation across a region where they are actually asset or allocation limits, which are set by either the board of the bank or by the investment memorandum, which is set up amongst the asset manager and the investors, and they say 20% in Spain. Well, guess what? You can't do 22% in Spain. It's a hard rule. So if you come to a fund which is at its limit, he will not be able to make an investment. Then you've got different risk appetites between development finance and established cash flows. Clearly, development finance being more risky is going to be dearer. So risk expectations and return go hand in hand. Finally, there is the life cycle of a fund. A fund is generally set up between 7 and 10 years, generally 1 or 2 extensions of 1 year each. These funds have got at the beginning a 2 to 3 year investment period. If you don't get to the fund during that window, he can't take you on afterward. Then we've got the holding phase, and then we've got the wind down phase. So all of these people are looking for size, and I think that the projects in which we are part, where we are trying to bring in all of the things which have been mentioned earlier, standardization, mingling of assets into one investment proposition, which is attractive for the fund manager, because as Eddie rightly said, due diligence is a killer. Lawyers at 700 euros, and that's junior lawyers, they cost a lot of money very, very quickly. So if the transaction is not big enough, people will not engage. Finally, and this is just sort of a warning, don't be discouraged. Just because an investor says, well, I can't do this, the investment proposition still might be good, but you have just engaged with somebody who either for risk appetite or other reasons couldn't take your investment on. Just keep on moving, because the money, as everybody has agreed on this call, is out there. We recently came across a project in the UK where a fund loved the project, but they could only invest in the Greater London region. And guess what? The project was in Manchester. So the limits, the silos of funds are very, very restrictive. And all I've got to say, keep on trucking, get yourself a good advisor, because he will know which of the funds will have appetite for your particular solution. Thank you very much for listening, and happy to answer questions here or later on email.
Thank you, Chapa. Vivian, I see you have a question. Maybe add it to or you had at least a hand raised. Maybe pause it, write it down, and then we'll quickly run through the presentations of the ENTRACK and the ENERGATE solution. So we have now covered the building owner perspective and the financial institution perspective, some of the key stakeholders in this journey of increasing energy efficiency. And I will now give the word to Stoyan Dana, who's the coordinator for the ENTRACK, and then we will hear from Katarina about ENERGATE afterwards. And then we have plenty of time for discussions, if you keep your time limits, of course.
Well, hello, I'm Stoyan Danov, and I'm the coordinator of ENTRACK. So I'm a researcher at CIMNE. CIMNE is a research center located in Barcelona. I'm part of the Building Energy and Environment group, and we work in developing data-driven solutions to oriented to building energy efficiency, but also to grid, smart grid efficiency, and basically apply techniques based on big data and data analytics, developing tools for this. So, and ENTRACK is one of our reaches. So I will give you a glimpse of what ENTRACK is. Will not be exhaustive, but just show you and give you some insights. Then in our webpage and in the resources we generate in the project, you will have the possibility to learn more about this. So as the name of ENTRACK says, ENTRACK is a platform, is an energy efficiency performance tracking platform for benchmarking savings and investments in buildings. And this is much more what it is about. So ENTRACK, in a nutshell, is a one-stop shop solution for energy management of building portfolios. So it on one side permits to gather all the data related to your buildings and their consumption and investments in a single place. So together with the building description, location, so investments. It allows you over this to perform monitoring over these buildings portfolio, how it consumes energy, how it performs over time, how it compares to different buildings, and also you can do this over a portfolio or over a single building, but also allows you to store and evaluate the savings from your energy efficiency investments. So in terms of energy cost, CO2. And on top of it, of the information, it offers benchmarking, both for buildings and investments. So where you can compare your performance with similar buildings or compare the effect of certain investments in certain building typologies, and providing you these comparatives over a set of different indicators. So our target audiences are principal target audience is the building owners and operators, because these are essentially the data providers for the building. So they register their stock, they offer, they put their data, but important key group for us is the financial institutions who are basically could have access to this performance data, both for buildings and for investments, which allows them to be more precise and to diminish the risk of their operators when they are assessing certain products. So they can compare, use our information to as a benchmark for in the assessment of their solutions. And last but not least, so policymakers are also important group, target group for us, because as the platform offers quite large amount of data, so and allows assessing different measures, attitudes. This could help to also to assess the effectiveness of certain policy programs and make them help them adjust these policies in the future. So as I said, this we offer information for different target groups, and this information could be used in different ways for them. For example, for building owners or portfolio managers, So they could obtain information about how much energy their building is using or their portfolio is using. So this information is normalized normally by surface here to make it comparable. So by certain indicators like energy use intensity and other, but they also can obtain information about the savings, the effect of their investments in real terms, because these evaluations in ENTRACK uses a real performance data. So it collects data from investments and provides information over the overall effect of this. So for financial institutions, this could be information about the avoidance cost or the cost of energy they obtain with the investment, or obtain indicators such as simple payback for their investments. And also other financial indicators include the net present value, how much, what is the value of today's money, and how much profit does an investment generates a year, so the internal rate of return. Well, ENTRACK, the platform ENTRACK is based on big data technologies, and this allows us to access and gather information from different places, facilitating the user and asking the user only to provide essentially the minimum essential information. And this could be done through the application. Well, we link, use different data sources to complement this information, make it coherent. So before was mentioned the standardization is important issue. In the context of ENTRACK, we have worked a lot in the standardization of the data. So in order to align and make all this information coming from different places capable to be analyzed, we align all this information over a common data model. So we have developed also taxonomy to standardize the energy, the classification of the energy efficiency measures, building typologies. So this allows us to make comparative analysis that are from different places and align the data over this. So just I will give you a glimpse over the platform. So this is our landing page of the platform. So it has a public part, and this public part has basically gives access to the benchmarking of buildings on one side, or to the energy efficiency on the other side. So if you go there in the in the building performance, so we offer benchmarking.
Just
yes,
a kind reminder to keep the time.
Yes, I'm finishing, just 3 minutes. So building performance is presented by different typologies of buildings, for which we offer statistical data as a distribution over the different performance indicators that could be in the domain of energy, cost, or emissions. For the energy efficiency measures, the visualization follows the same logic, but here we have distributions for different types of energy efficiency measures, and our indicators are covering the energy savings, financial saving, emission savings, but also provide information about the cost of investment in different buildings and the financing terms in financial indicators such as return of investments, net present value, and so on. The platform has also a sign-in part. This is made for the data providers, where once they sign into the platform, they can start introducing their data. So you normally start introducing the data with very few data, building characteristics, location, select the data source, and introduce the energy efficiency measures. And the ENTRACK does the rest. It can upload the information, connects with whether that provides the different analytics. So once you have generated your portfolio, you can see all the portfolio and access to different comparatives like benchmarking to see where your building stays within your portfolio, the evolution of time over different indicators, the savings of your investments, and much more things. So I invite you to visit this and follow the evolution of this. Thank you very much. I will answer any questions if you're interested in the question and answer section.
Thank you, Soren. Katarina, over to ENERGATE.
Yes.
You?
Let me share my screen. I hope that you can hear me well. Okay. So not this, but this. Okay, so hello to everyone. I'm Katerina Papapostoglou. I'm an electrical and computer engineer at the Decision Support Systems Laboratory of the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering in the National Technical University of Athens. I'm a senior research associate. I'm the coordinator of the ENERGATE project, and I have been involved in several research and consultancy projects at EU and national level, related to energy efficiency, renewable sustainable development, etc. So I'm here today to give you a quick overview of who we are, what is the ENERGATE project, the objectives that we have, and how we try to materialize all the things that we have imagined for this platform. So the background has been already provided by the other presenters, as they have focused on the building and financing side. We have the majority of the building stock in Europe that is not so energy efficient. Current insufficient trends have been observed in the renovation rates of buildings. So this reveals that there's a need for action, since building is the largest consumer of energy in Europe. So what is a must is to address this appropriate implementation of energy efficiency measures. And through the ENERGATE, we will try to assist both sides, both building and financing side. So the needs for the building side have been more or less mentioned. They need to access to finance, and they need technical expertise in order to execute their projects. And of course, they need simplified and standardized processes. On the other hand, the financial side needs reliable data on the energy efficiency projects, large financeable packages in order to be attractive for them to invest, and of course, project evaluation and risk assessments. Of course, there are several barriers that hinder the communication, I would say, between these two sides. There's a knowledge gap, and this we try to cover through the ENERGATE project. So we are in the middle of our journey. The ENERGATE project tries to develop a smart energy marketplace for sustainable investments. We started this journey in January 2023, and what we're trying to do is to provide project development of retrofitting actions, to provide access to sustainable finance for building renovation projects, and of course to match the two sides in a user-friendly ICT-enabled platform. So here you can see our partners is a consortium of 12 partners from 8 countries. They're balanced in terms of company types, expertise, role in value chain, and it involves organizations with complementary expertise from research and industrial areas. So we can have a commercial exploitation of our results. ENERGATE, as I said, aims to integrate into a single, robust, ICT-enabled solution different stages of the building energy efficiency project cycle. So we try to provide a large project development facilities where the energy efficiency project sponsor and the project owners or private or public entities may be able to announce their projects in a structured manner and taking into account standardization of information. On the other hand, we try to provide aggregation, due diligence, and cash flow enhancement processes. So the projects can be packaged, enhanced, and provided as an attractive bundle of projects to the financiers. The business matchmaking that I mentioned previously. So we try to match these two sides in order to have quality assessments and generally facilitate the data and the information exchange between them, and of course feedback loops that will measure the impact of our platform. So here are the 4 stages of the ENERGATE platform. The first stage is the 0 stage, where the users can create their profile, register and insert their profile-related data. The fetch stage is the collection of the information about the projects, about the buildings, where we ensure that all the technical and commercial information are there, and we can calculate our related KPIs and match the users. The process stage, the main stage, I would say, of the ENERGATE platform, where we, on the one hand, identify the similarities between the projects, and we do the aggregation and bundling of them, and on the other hand, we match the projects with the investors based on the preferences of investors in the respective KPIs. And the final stage, after the implementation of the projects, we have the follow-up on the projects, the monitoring and verification methodologies, and several benchmarks. So here are the main target groups. Of course, they are not only these, but mainly we're targeted to building owners, private or public bodies, the implementers, such as project developers, ESCOs, energy consultants, and of course, the financing community, private financing bodies, investors, funds, etc. Here are the results, I would say, from the survey that we are running currently. We tried to identify the importance of several key factors, how building stakeholders and financing stakeholders are considering different KPIs to evaluate the energy efficiency projects, and several other services that we would like to develop. So as you can see, building stakeholders have voted CapEx as the first priority, while financing stakeholders, the IRR. And in the table, you can see that a very important service for the users would be presenting best practices and recommendation to the building owners for energy efficiency measures to be adopted. And of course, matching buildings with technical teams, and I would say also the project aggregation. So, what are the benefits of for the users? By using this platform, the building owners can create the profile of their buildings. They can see how other similar buildings have improved their energy performance through recommendation that the platform provides based on the characteristics of the buildings and based on the data that we have in our database of already implemented projects. They can search for renovation expert, for implementers, select their preferred type of financing, and of course find financial support and aggregate their project with another or more to attract more investors. The implementers such as ESCOs, project developers, or energy consultants can use the platform and be matched with building stakeholders that they need to renovate their building, access all the information that are related to the building, the date of the building, extract a well-structured offer with project details, of course insert their biddings if they have buildings that are seeking finance, and of course find the financial support. The financiers, the private funds, the investors can use the platform in order to put their preferences on specific criteria, and through a multi-criteria decision support method be matched with projects. They can see in front of their screen the proposed projects based on their preferences in a ranking format. They can see aggregated projects and single projects based on if they would like to have aggregated or not projects, conduct due diligence processes, and provide support. Now, we're investigating how public bodies can use the platform. We have created several use cases. As for now, the public bodies through the platform can create a pre-announcement of their energy efficiency project, notify the users that they're looking for technical support or financial support. They can also aggregate their projects with other public buildings in order to increase their chances of finding finance, and of course see the recommendations that the platform provides in terms of energy efficiency measures to be adopted. So here are our use cases.
I'm
yes,
kindly interrupting you just to remind you of the time, so there's a chance for questions as well.
Yeah, I need one more or 2 minutes and I'm I'm done. So here are use cases that I have already mentioned. So let's see the marketplace user interface that we're now developing. The platform will be ready by the end of March, early April, in order to be tested, and then we will have public launch in June, hopefully. So here you can see how the different user interfaces are. You can see that you can add a new building. You can see that you have a red notification if you are matched with a financier. The forms that implementers or financiers will fill in with details, and the several services, matching buildings with implementers or financiers, clustering the projects, and also monitoring of results and similar renovated projects recommendations. So all this will be tested and validated through 5 pilot partners that are representatives from both sides, both supply and demand sides. So we will test the platform through several projects in order to be sure that it works. Our expected impacts, hopefully we will have almost 200 buildings renovated through our platform. And here are some links for you to explore our results, our newsletters, and research that we have done, results from our events, and the benefits of the platform. Our user interface videos, you can navigate quickly through the platform and services. And of course, the QR code for our survey. We would be happy if you can contribute. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Happy to answer your questions.
So I was just checking Q&A, and now for the audience, please, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat or in the Q&A section. Feel free to raise your hand. But in the meantime, also an invitation to speakers. It seems to me that there are some similarities and obvious, links between ENERGATE and ENTRACK. Maybe you would also have some questions and to the projects respectively. Stanislav?
Yes, I have a question, something that was quite challenging, at least for us in ENTRACK. What about how you match the different taxonomies of building types, of energy efficiency measures in the different countries? Because uh, in Spain, for example, their taxonomy was so detailed, maybe sub-measures, sub-measures, hundreds of types of measures. While in Bulgaria, it's much more simplified. So we met some difficulties to make the platform understandable and workable for both Spanish pilots and Bulgarian pilots. The same was with the building types. In Bulgaria, we have 7 main building types. In Spain, they were much more. For such a platform to work on international level, it's quite challenging. At least it was quite challenging for us to make it easy, understandable for all stakeholders from the different countries.
Yeah. Can I answer? Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, it's a challenge to be honest, and this is why we're testing the platform in 6 EU countries now. So we will have pilot projects for these 6 countries. We have already a database with already implemented projects, and through machine learning algorithms, I'm not an expert, don't ask me about this, but through a machine learning algorithms, we're going to, based on the similarities that we identify between the projects that are inserted in the platform and the projects that we have in the database, based on this, we can match those similarities and provide recommendation to the project that are inserted based on what the other projects that we have in the database have done. For instance, you have a building in Riga, and has this specific characteristics, type of building, and all the relevant information. And then we have in the database a similar building that has already done those energy efficiency investments. So we propose that through, for instance, a similar bidding to you has done this and has earned these CO2 emissions, this final energy, let's say, savings, etc. So this is just a recommendation for you. You can explore this building and see what others have done that are similar to you. Of course, this database includes a number of buildings, but we're going to enhance this and retrain the models based on the input that we will have from the newly inserted projects. So this is on a high level the concept. I don't know if I have answered your question. Okay, thanks.
Just I see Eddie Stein, you have some comments or questions as well. We're actually out of time now, but we can run through them real quick, and then we will send, when we have updated the recordings and have a summary, we'll send out an email to everybody with contact information so the continue can that was reversed, so the discussion can continue after this webinar has ended. But Eddie, maybe you first, if it's a real quick question. Please go ahead.
Sure. I just saw in your presentation, Katarina, that one of the main interests of building owners was the informations and recommendations on best practices. I'd like to mention that first of all, I see the same thing. People want someone to tell them what to do and how to do it. But what are you basing those best practices on? So basically, what is your database based on? I might have missed that in your presentation.
Yeah, the data that we have already are from the 5 pilot partners that we have. So yeah, we have gathered data from them in order to establish a database, and we are going to enhance it again and again based on the input.
So seems like an integration with ENTRACK would be useful too. Yeah.
This is something that we have already discussed with Stoyan, because we have seen some similarities, and we will try to establish a synergy there because it would be very helpful for us.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was wondering, Katarina, what is your market strategy? Let's say, how would you will you bring these stakeholders, let's say, which is quite challenging to more massive use of this? Do you rely on some alliances with something? Because this has been is a challenge in this case.
This is another challenge, the market uptake of the platform. We're now in the middle of the project. We hope that when we have launched, we will have launched the platform. The pilot partners have already started engaging stakeholders and starting conveying the message that the platform is here, and we will launch it in some months from now. This is where we have a testing phase between May and June, July, and then after the public release, we have a consultation strategy, I would say, with training workshops in the pilot countries. So I guess that this will help us a lot in order to attract more let's say users. And then I would say that its partner has, for instance, Taba is a master in the financing part. So this will help us a lot in order to see the needs of the financing side. And yeah, we will see how we'll progress when we have the platform ready. It's a challenge, but yeah.
Thank you. In respect of everybody's time, I will thank you very much for joining today. I think it was super interesting to see that although we're not there yet, there's definitely a lot of improvements in terms of energy efficiency, renovations, and also a lot of links to be made between ENTRACK and ENERGATE. So as I said, we'll send out a little summary and then with all the links so that you can check out the various platforms and the material available. Thank you for joining and have a lovely rest of the afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.